Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
My name's
My
Hank
name's Hank
Setala, and I'm here with
with
Dr.
Dr.
K, and we're going
and
to be
we're going to be
talking
talking
about
about
stress and
stress and
anxiety.
anxiety.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, and now the
Now the
audio is
audio is
doing muffled again
muffled
on
again
you.
on you.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I can try to not use it. Is it
Okay.
still muffled?
No, it's well, you're
No,
just
it's
doesn't
yours
sound
just
very loud.
doesn't sound very loud.
It doesn't sound loud.
Yeah, so maybe we'll try it without.
Without
Give us everyone just
every
give us a
everyone
moment while
just
we go through some tech things.
Is this any better?
Not really.
No. Okay. Then let's try without. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'd rather hear you than not hear you.
Okay. Is this better?
That is better.
Okay.
People will get to hear
Technical
me a little bit twice.
difficulties.
But everyone, my name's Hank Setala. I'm one of the owners at Holistic Health and Healing, and Dr. K, Dr. Krywiak, if I say it correctly.
Yep. Dr.
Yep.
K's good.
Dr. K is good. That means I didn't say it quite right. But she's one of our she's one of our affiliates at the center. She has her own place in the same plaza, but she's also on our website. She's one of the people that offers contribution and healing for all the people that come to HHH. And one of the things that no matter where you are in the world right now with COVID-19 and everything, stress and anxiety certainly is something that is on the top of everybody's minds because it's just you're home alone, social distancing, you see everything in the news. And if you were stressed before, now there's a whole new kind of stress. So we wanted to talk a little bit about things that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Hank, everything I also tell people that I've come out as an intuitive doc as well. So I use my intuition and guidance to help all of my patients in any way that I can. But honestly, there's a lot that's happening right now. Like Hank said, if you're stressed now, there's a whole new level of stress, of uncertainty, and it's bringing a lot to awareness for people. And that can be a little scary. So, now's really the time, but there's also an ascension going on. There's always a lot of different things going on. And it's bringing things to awareness that maybe weren't in awareness before. So we're all in seclusion and quarantine, and things are surfacing, and we're forced to kind of look at them right now. So that's something, when I work with clients, it's like, stop shoving things under the carpet. It's time to really look at every angle, looking at your energy and looking at your health and everything all in one. Because when things are released from the mind, the body actually gets better. It's a really fascinating thing that happens. And that's kind of what I do. So when people leave me, we clean up the energy so the body's healing much better. But, the fear and panic, Hank, it's just all over the place right now. And we are feeding off of each other's fear and panic. You get on the phone with somebody or on a Zoom call and they're all panicked, and then you take that on. So it's really important to cut cords from that, clean from that, so that you don't take on other people's energetic fear. And it's just all across the board right now. So I recommend not going on the news, and listening, because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. I do, talk a lot about that on my Facebook posts as I get more information. I have a quantum biofeedback device that's really amazing, and a really tight-knit community with doctors that are dealing more on the quantum physics level. And I can tell you that there is a little bit of a bigger picture with all of this. And really, it's all about boosting the immune system. That is the key. So everybody's so worried about exposure and, oh my God, I got to stay at home and, I can't touch. You're not going to stop this. The virus is actually, it's dead, and its job is to get into the cell and start replicating. So it needs a host, and its purpose is not to kill somebody. It is to basically come to your home, eat all your food, use your furniture, and leave your place trashed, and leave and get on to something else. So
it's like kids, is what you're saying.
Sort of. It's like a kid that comes in and just like ruins it all, and then moves on to the next parent that's going to give them what they want.
No, well, my kids are really good at making a mess in one room, and by the time you're finished cleaning this room, they've made a mess in the next room, and it creates this just endless cycle.
That's what the virus is doing. So it's making a mess of your body. It's chewing up everything it can. It needs a good host. So its purpose is not to kill you. But to stop the replication is near impossible. This thing is on money. It is on, it's on everything you touch. So to theoretically think that you are not going to get exposed, we are all going to get exposed, guys. I'm sorry to say. But the biggest thing is let's get your immune system up and running so that when this does happen, your body's recognizing it and it's ready to go. Because the fact is we symbiotically live with bacteria all our lives, fungus, all sorts of things we come in contact with daily. This is no different. It's just new. And the media is liking to expand this and use it and give everybody a whole lot of fear. I'm not saying, go and hug and kiss everybody, and that's the point, but be careful, do your due diligence, wash your hands. But, it's instilling the fear and panic within everybody. So Hank, you can hopefully post a little technique that I use.
Yep,
Maybe you
I
can
already
put it in the
posted it.
comments later. Okay, great. So guys, everybody, you can use this little technique to bring yourself back into alignment when you're starting to feel thoughts going out of control, or you talk to somebody on the phone or on the news. You cut cords from that like this, and it's in the video, very well explained. Just do that as many times till you feel a little calmer, and then get yourself grounded. Use that little technique. It seems like it maybe takes long. It doesn't. You'll get really fast at it, and it'll get you centered and grounded, and you will feel a whole lot better. And that's really, if all of us can just be really grounded right now, the world will have so much more good. So that's, the energy of fear and panic spreads like wildfire. It spreads probably faster than the virus.
Right.
So
And one thing you
yeah,
can do too, just to start taking yourself out of that anxiety, is if you find yourself like thinking about all the panic and things, is to just stop and take a deep breath and then ask yourself, is it mine? And because as an
exactly.
empath, so many of us are empathic and we're picking up other people's panic and then we're causing this amplifying effect off of each other. And
Yep.
if you just take a pause and take a step back, use the cord cutting technique that Dr. K gave us in the video, and that would be like one great way to start separating everybody else's energy from your energy. And if you tap into your own knowing, you might realize that, hey, there isn't a reason to be panicked. This
There
is
isn't.
just, yeah.
It's just a new thing, and unfortunately, the politicians and the government is going to use this in a certain way to instill fear in people. So I'm like, why is toilet paper flying off the shelves? And I go to the grocery store and pizza's gone, cheese is gone. What else? Tortilla shells are gone, and ground beef is gone. I'm like, what are people making? So it's, I'm wondering, like, now is not the time to eat sugar. Now is the time to really clean up your body. So we are really being told, and intuitively, I got a really strong download on this. That's start treating your body like a vessel. You live in your body, and this is your home. And if you don't feel well, then there are multiple reasons why that's happening. You could have a toxic overload. You could have, gluten sensitivity. You could have gut permeability. These are all my medical things, that I do through functional medicine, and my quantum feedback device is awesome at picking all of that up and telling me how your immune system is functioning. But now is really the time to stop saying you don't have time to cook. Stop saying you don't have time to, do the things you wanted to do. And also all the things you've wanted to do. Maybe you've been nudged to quit your job. Maybe you've been nudged to start a new venture, start your own business. All these nudges, now is the time. The universe is forcing you and forcing us to look at these things deep down inside on all levels, spiritual, physical, emotional. I handle all of those things when somebody comes to my office, because it's not just I'm going to give you a supplement and off you go and things are going to get better. If you have an emotional resentment or anger that's lingering, it will cause sickness in the body. And it's very important to address that. So that's something you're not going to get with regular doctors, and it needs to happen more and more now. And we're in a time where your doctor, guys, really is not going to save you. They're just providing supportive care for your immune system. There's we're at a higher level now to really look inward.
So is there a particular way people know like what kind of foods that would be best to boost their immune system? Because you mentioned not to have sugar. Are there certain things that people could do that would be a complement to the body in terms of if you do get the virus or whatnot, that you're not going to get as sick or you recover? I caught a video on your Facebook page where you talked about healthy and the definition of healthy. Like
Oh
what
yeah.
foods support that in
Yes.
terms of your ability to bounce back?
Yes, absolutely. So sugar all across the board. Like people are making cherry pies now, they're making cookies, they're baking. probably not the time to do that. 300 grams of sugar will shut down your immune system for 2 hours. So your immune system just not working. And I can tell you this from personal experience because around Halloween, I ate a bunch of candy just because I love chocolate. It can't be in the house. And I was sneezing for 4 to 5 days, like nonstop congestion. So my body, I eat pretty clean now. So when I introduce something like that, my body's already like retaliating. So it's really a cleanup time. So for foods, I would stay away from, people are thinking, well, orange juice because of vitamin C. Those things are processed. So non-processed foods, meaning staying away from canned foods, staying away from corn, so that's tortilla shells and taco shells, really eating wholesome ingredients, like I call them one ingredient items. So get a cucumber, get, some kale, just cage-free chicken. Heinz has really great smart chicken that I really like. Has found pretty the best chicken I've found yet. Cage-free. Eggs are a little interesting. So dairy, that's the big thing, guys. I want to tell you, stay away from dairy. Dairy creates mucus in your mucus membranes are going to be enhanced with dairy products. We'll put it that way. So things like milk, even almond milk right now, I've cut back on that. Ice cream, any kind of milk products, cheese. Those are the things you want to stay away from because as you have more mucus in your membranes, the virus loves to attach to that and it gets in there and it can hang on. Actually, the issue with the virus is it hangs on 3 times more tightly than a regular virus. So that's what's making it a little more virulent and a little more, how should I say? It's not a complex virus, but it's resistant. We'll put it that way. So staying away from dairy, big, 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 big right now. Staying away from dairy. If you're going to eat fruit, low sugar fruits, I think like apples, obviously all organic, oranges, organic, that's still a little high in sugar, but the sweeter something is, the more sugar it has. Really limit the sugar like at all right now. And fresh vegetables, the more you can eat raw and grass-fed if you're eating meat and cage-free if you're eating, chicken. Limiting eggs, it's still a little bit of a dairy product. Viruses seem to thrive on dairy type products. Those are a bit inflammatory. So hopefully that's helpful. Find some recipes now, guys. Get some kale. Staying away from grains right now, even rices and even a little bit of quinoa, that sort of thing. Like getting more down to the raw ingredients. Sweet potatoes are actually very inflammatory, so you could do sweet potatoes, bake them. And here's the thing with oils. Oils, they change biochemistry when you cook with them. So staying away from fries, don't do fries. If you're doing something like that, then just, bake them and then put the oil on afterwards. You don't want to be cooking in a bunch of oil right now. So hopefully that's helpful. Some tips.
Yeah, and I think one reason people are making the cherry pies and they're having like taco night and stuff like that is it's comfort food. And when you're stressed like this and people are going back to the things that are making you feel comfortable. So what could people do, like if they're not going to be medicating that with the comfort foods, what might be something else that someone can do? Like definitely get out, go for a walk, perhaps, like do something opposite of what you're feeling when you're tense. But what other things might people be able to do?
Definitely cutting the cord. So when you start feeling like you need to reach for a comfort food, you just have to stop that process and put something else in your mouth, really. I would say, cashew butter is really great. Almond butter, that will hold you. So if you're looking for something that's more substantial, get creative too. There's plenty of time right now if you're not an essential worker, even if you are, to check out that are more, vegan, more kind of one ingredient and clean that will still satiate you. But if you're feeling the need to reach for a comfort food, sit back, breathe for a second, and figure out why are you reaching for that food, because it almost becomes an unconscious venture. So really just diving deep. And if I recommend like almond butter or something like cashew butter you could do a little bit of a banana, an organic banana. That will actually, it's similar to a comfort. It just satiates you, so you don't start grabbing onto carb-based things. It has a way of shutting things down so that you don't get a craving, if that makes sense. That's probably that's what I do. That's what I recommend.
And I'm just checking. I think I always forget to make my feed public when it's going to my page. So I just want to enable that real quick to see if we had any comments there. Mike was already saying that it sounds like a let's see, what did Mike say? Now I forgot. Mike says sounds like a truck driver he knows. Okay. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Mike, but Mike is definitely enjoying the broadcast. He was posting a whole bunch of nice little unicorns and little heart symbols for us. So thank you so much for joining us and for taking part in our conversation here. Now, what about like when you're getting out and walking, when we talk about social distancing? I think I remembered reading something about like if you're running, that you have to consider a little bit of extra space, or riding a bike or anything like that if you have like a little momentum behind you. Is that something that people, if you are going out exercising a little bit more vigorously, should be mindful of?
If you're concerned, I would wear a mask because here's what happens with the virus. When you breathe or cough, it kind of comes out in the air and it kind of sits here for, I believe, 30 seconds to a minute. And so if somebody's really close to you, passes by and they breathe that in, that's how it's, and then it gets into the nasal passage and into the throat, and that's where it sits. Um, I would say gargling with salt water right now too, often if you can, would be good. Making sure your stomach acid is good so that if you do happen to get it, you can catch it before it gets down. But wear a mask. I think that's a really good thing to do because a lot of us are carriers. A lot of us are not going to have symptoms. We're more concerned about the people out there that have immune systems that are not so great, that are going to, contract this. That's what the goal of everything is, because a lot of us are healthy.
And one thing, just something that I never thought about it impact wise, one of my friends, Angie, out in New York, she just did a psychic reading for someone yesterday that the lady's mother was in a nursing home, ended up with COVID-19, but because of the order, she wasn't even able to go visit her mother and get any sort of closure. So like there's impacts
It's
to this that
challenging. Oh yeah.
we're not even thinking about, but the people that are carriers, that's where the concern is. Like even if she could go see her mother, what if she got it? Then she's going out spreading it. That's why they're taking such a big precaution or whatnot. Now we did have a question from Heather asking if you got COVID-19 after you recover, is it possible that you might get it again?
I think that's immune system dependent. Technically, I would say no, because what the body's going to do when it comes across this or anything else, it's going to build resilience. So as things enter your throat, they get into your tonsils. If you've had your tonsils removed, not so great. And I do have a supportive immunopoie that I use for people that have had tonsils removed. And in general, it's great. It reduces your susceptibility to infection or your appendix. Those are places where antibodies are built. So if you've ever had a um, throat infection and remember you kind of feel like things are building up here and it gets really lumpy, as the virus gets in, it gets caught in the throat and your tonsils adenoids grab it and they start to expand because they're already starting to build antibodies to it. So that's really the goal. And so as they build antibodies, they're inflamed and they get bigger. Um, I would probably, like I said, it depends on your immune system. I'm going to say no. If you've run through it, your body has built the antibodies to it. So if you do get it again, it's probably at a much lesser scale, is what I would say.
Cool. If anybody else just joining us or still with us from beginning, if you have any specific questions about stress, anxiety, things and tools that you might be able to do, or things about the virus going on right now, uh, and just you can post them in comments, and we can certainly pose them to Dr. K, and she can speak to them. One thing that I noticed, like if you guys go out to shopping, I was kind of surprised they wouldn't let me use my own bag the other day, which I guess I could get in theory. But then I was thinking, well, everybody's grabbing all the food, everybody's putting their food on the same conveyor belt. And it's like, well, I would be way more worried about the conveyor belt than me having my own bag. But it's just like some things, they're doing things to
Yeah.
make people have a little peace of mind. But oh, and she says thank you for the feedback on that. You're welcome, Heather.
Welcome, welcome. Yeah, you're not, it's impossible. And this thing is replicating at an exponential rate. So it's going to be virtually impossible to clean every single surface and get every single area. It's only to reduce the load and protect the people that are not healthy. But if you're not healthy, you know what? Now's the time to really see somebody else, see somebody outside the box to get your immune system boosted because the doctors are giving a lot of medications. And I know there's a lot of talk about azithromycin and hydroxychloroquinolone as cures. Let me tell you what those do. Viruses are not affected by antibiotics. Typically, people that get sick, they get into the hospital, they develop a secondary infection. So in the lungs, you'll get a pneumonia, or it'll attack some other organ. And so you'll get a secondary bacterial infection typically. So it's multi-system failure is what starts to happen. When you reduce the load of the bacteria by killing it with an antibiotic, it kind of takes something off the plate in the immune system, so that the immune system goes, oh, okay, we can now put more attention on dealing with the virus. So that's really, through the physicians I've been talking to, through my groups, and even my knowledge, that's typically what's happening. And so, that and zinc, guys, zinc but you can also take quinine, just water, just like Schweppes, quinine water and zinc. That's going to help the zinc get into the cell better. You want it probably at about 50 to 100 milligrams. Be careful of not taking more than enough zinc or more zinc, because it will deplete copper. Copper is very important for the immune system. So you don't want to deplete too much of that. It can also cause gray hair if you are depleted of copper. So hopefully that helps a little bit in that respect, that the antibiotics are they're not killing the virus. They are killing a secondary bacterial infection that is taxing the system even more. And I think that's what's happening inside the system. So really, it's just immune boosting. And I am getting a really great product that I'm obviously going to mention here, but it's called Virix 2020. It has the virus. It's diluted by 1 to 1 billion, so very minuscule amount, and it's irradiated like 100 times. Plus, it has echinacea, elderberry in it, or no, echinacea, colloidal silver, colloidal gold, and oscillium. It's through my biofeedback folks, Dr. Nelson, who has made my biofeedback devices. It's really it's the natural vaccine, I'll put it that way. So if you want something homeopathic and you don't want a vaccine, which they are probably going to mandate everybody gets, which is a whole other topic, but this is going to be a really amazing product that has been developed that will help. You have to take it for a month, though, under the tongue. So it's really simple. It's just a tincture you take under the tongue, but it's the next best thing to a vaccine, and a healthier way.
You mentioned the biofeedback machine, and I saw a video of you kind of just showing that. So that's something that people can do virtually. So if they
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to get some information about how they could boost it, that would be something that they would be able to do with you.
Absolutely. I've done a handful of people already. I've done somebody in California. I do people in New York. It actually will show me where your immune system is. Now, Hank, just given that, it is obviously more potent if you are in front of me, but still works quite well virtually. So I love to have people in front of me so we can have better conversations. But I do a Zoom call, and yeah, I show you everything that's going on the screen, where your copper levels are, where your digestion is. If your immune system's coming up or virus is coming up and you have symptoms, then and I can even check, have you been exposed? So, there's two ways of doing it, but yeah, it's so helpful, and it sends a frequency to the body to help boost the immune system. It'll send the frequency of copper. And people ask me, well, how the heck does it do that? How does your cell phone work? When you call somebody in Italy right now, how does that work? It works the same. This works the same way. So it latches on by your birthday and where you live and where you were born. It latches on to your frequency and will tell me everything that's going on within a person's individual body, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. So we can tackle all of those ends. And I do virtual sessions with the healing, with my pranic healing with a crystal, and a Paramitas process, where if you are stressed, I do a very special process called Paramitas. I call it the magic box. We unimpress the subconscious mind. So when you're done, we test your subconscious mind, and you are way calmer, and you tackle things so much better, and you feel like you can think straight again. So been doing a lot of those.
You know what? One thing we might want to do if people are interested is maybe on another segment or whatnot, you could do a virtual one on me and you can show how it works. And I
Absolutely.
can sign whatever waiver and people can kind of get a taste of what, what it is. As long as people don't judge me if I copper's off or something weird like that.
Well, sure. If you want to be open to that, and yeah, share some of your internal feelings as a man. Because I just did a video on that. For men, so the other thing, I'm getting on a tangent because I get so excited
No,
about
it's
this,
okay.
but
Tangents are good.
but this seems to be affecting The statistics are if you're a man of 50 or over, your your chances of getting this and your mortality rate is worse if you are 50 or over, if you're a man. So people ask me, well, why is that? And that's an interesting topic. They're still looking, of course, into the scientific reasons as to why that could potentially be happening. There probably are multiple scientific explanations, but my intuitive thought on that is men don't, number one, they don't go to doctors very often. It's the wife that has to push them, to go to the doctor, or they're like, no, no, I'm good. I got it. It's just a little allergies, just a little cut. I'm good. I don't need to eat healthy. I'm going to drink my. There's a lot of things that are shoved underneath the carpet. So sometimes we don't know what's going on within an individual's biological system, and are they really sick, and do they have an underlying heart condition that is brewing, and the device does pick these things up. But this is one theory as to why men are probably a little higher risk. And the second reason is men don't always talk about their emotions. Us women, we just love to talk about our emotions. Most women do. And, every, meditative circle I've gone to and all the healing training I've got, I have to say, it is 80% women in the groups. So women are more extroverted than that. Men tend to be a little more introverted, probably not Hank. but but that's another reason. When you push emotions down, they have to go somewhere within the system. So are they going to lodge in the thyroid? Are you going to get hypothyroid? Are you going to get acid reflux? Those emotions, when you're like just gulping them down or pushing them to the side or not being aware of those things, they're going to manifest in the body. That is biggestly what I preach and teach. So perhaps that's, my explanation of one of two reasons why men are more susceptible and have, a lower mortality rate with this,
Yep.
and 50 and over.
And Heather thinks I think she likes the idea of me projecting my innards on the internet. Al-Azhar of Mecca, I know that's not your own name. I know who you are, Al-Azhar, but they were saying that they say heat over 133 degrees kills it prior to it spreading to the body. Is this true? And is there a treatment like this you could recommend?
Yes, that is true. This virus does not like heat. So I will probably tell you intuitively, I feel this too, that this will start to curtail. I'm feeling like June, July, when we get enough humidity going. So one thing you can do is if you have any essential oils like you could probably use tea tree. You could probably use, thinking what else, because I have specific tinctures I use. Um, Peppermint, anything, but the goal is for steam. So you can put a towel kind of over your head, boil some water, and breathe in the steam. That is one way of creating more humidity, more heat coming through your nasal passage, through your throat, and catching it there, and gargling with salt water and even colloidal silver. I tell people take colloidal silver, put a couple drops. Sovereign Health has one. That's one that's a liquid, and gargle with that so that and then swallow it. Obviously, the colloidal silver, not the salt, but um, to kind of kill whatever's in your throat. But the steam is a great way of just inhaling and trying to withstand the heat so that it gets through your nasal
Yep.
passages and into your throat and catching it
Yeah.
there.
If you didn't know, I'm actually a certified aromatherapist, and
Oh, that's right. I'm
yeah,
sorry, I forgot.
no, that's
Oh,
cool. No, no, what you're saying is great. The one thing to keep in mind, if you have contacts, if you're doing the head over steaming bowl with a towel, the essential oils in the steam, it gets behind the contacts and can really tear at the eyes. So if you're going to do that,
thank you
take
for
the
that.
contacts out first.
Yes,
And
yeah.
frankincense is a bronchial dilator, and that is a great one. That's antiviral, antibacterial, and it's also
Yes,
one that
thank you.
helps with the bronchioles. So you could do that. That peppermint, Ravenser would be a great one to do that. That also has that little bit of a like that lifting effect in the bronchioles and the lungs. So those are a couple of my favorites for stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you for the pitch-in. I completely bypassed that.
No, well, not everybody knows. I haven't had a retail front in a while where people see what I'm selling there. And now someone did have a question about the blow dryer method. I haven't heard of that personally that people are talking about.
I have. Um, I don't think it's as effective. I think you want the humidity because that air is very dry. Um, I personally just think the steam would be a little bit better, but there has been talk about just like using a dryer. I guess it's better than nothing. Um, but I would probably venture to use the steam a little bit more.
Okay. And we're right at the 30-minute mark. Last call for questions for today. We'll give a moment or so if anybody else has any questions to pose them. I'm not sure. We didn't talk ahead of time, like how long you actually had. So I want to be mindful of your time as well.
I have plenty of time. And if people want suggestions on things for anxiety, though, L-theanine is good. Pharma-GABA is good. You can take that, and increasing vitamin D levels. A lot of depression is caused due to lack of minerals. So right now, vitamin D with K2, the K2, so when you have too much vitamin D, it can build up too much calcium in the system, which can deposit in different areas. We don't want that. So make sure you have the K2 with it. But really 8 to 10,000 I use a day of vitamin D. Vitamin D has just across the board, it acts as a hormone, acts on, depression, acts on the immune system and building T cells and helping the natural killer cells. So it's huge. So if you are vitamin D deficient, really, really important. That's a big, big biggie right now.
And just go on to list the oils again. I think Dr. K had mentioned tea tree, which is one of a great antiviral. Now, the one that you really want to get would be it's called Melaleuca. It is one from New Zealand. Is like probably one of the better ones. And then I was mentioning frankincense. She mentioned peppermint. Ravensara is another one. That's a little bit harder to find. But any of the other ones, peppermint, frankincense, it's probably one of the good ones. But you do want to make sure you get an actual essential oil. A lot of them are, if you see like a display and they're all exactly the same price, that's a sign that these are probably cut with something, because they should vary in price. And so that's a good kind of a BDP. And if you're in doubt, ask them for a certificate of analysis report. They may have to call someone to get it, or but they will be able to get the paper that shows this is what's actually in the oil, because some companies also do a different process that they heat the oil after it's extracted, and it burns off a lot of the chemicals that, as an aromatherapist, I want it purest to nature. I want those things. And they burn it off, and then it could be labeled as an FDA supplement type of oil as well. So some things to keep in mind.
Apps, those are very important factors, because again, it's a thing of awareness. I have a lot of friends. Oh, I went to TJ Maxx and I got eucalyptus. I don't know if you would recommend eucalyptus too, Hank, but
yeah, eucalyptus globulus. Radiata would be more for like muscle pain and things if you're applying it topically. But eucalyptus especially is one with the contacts you will be hurting if you forget.
Take off those contacts, but don't go to TJ Maxx. Make sure everything Hank said is complete in agreement with. I use specific companies that I know are reputable companies. Don't just go anywhere and see that you got these items somewhere, and if they're cheap, probably not a good product.
Yeah, and she's asking if young oils are okay to use. That's not the one brand that I use is called Natural Options Aromatherapy. George Cox is the owner of that. It's down in Ohio, and they're in over 100 different hospitals. So I can just speak to the ones that I personally use, and they're on my website. Shameless plug: if you go to holistichealthandhealing.net and click store, you can go over and see all the aromatherapy and tuning fork products that I personally sell. Dr. K might also have recommendations of oils that you can get too.
I think yours are great recommendations. I don't really get a ton into the oils. I use a lot of homeopathic. So I have an Immunopoi. I have a Virofuge that is specifically designed to kill off bacteria. And I'll be getting this Virix 2020, which, like I said, is going to be amazing, because it is the homeopathic vaccine. It's really a great product. So I'll let you handle aromatherapy. I'm not certified aromatherapy.
Well, that's like the one place I can kind of nerd out with you and like talk about stuff.
I love it.
That or
always more to learn. Always more to learn.
And I'll send this to you. I didn't even look to pull. Have you ever heard of Sherry Edwards? Let me start by asking you that question. Have you heard of her?
I have, but I've heard of her, but I don't know a ton of.
Yeah, she's a healer, and she has this gift to be able to hear the frequency of germs and diseases and things. And she just worked with Joe Matson, and they came out with some music. They're giving it away for free. I'll put the link in comments, but it's basically music that they specifically designed with the frequency of the virus in mind that can help with the immune system, specifically to support with the virus, and kind of like the idea behind the Rife machines and things like that, I suppose. She's like a human Rife machine.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, my device does the Rife therapy as well, and Dr. Nelson has put, again, the frequency of the virus in the device, so it zaps it. So we just harness you up, you just sit there, and it sends the frequency to zap that, plus a million other things, herpes, whatever, any other kind of viruses. I have frequency pretty much for them all. So it's, yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll post that in the comments, and I'll send you the email that she sent me. And for everybody that is still with us or just joining us, this is all going to be in the archive. It's streaming to Dr. K's Facebook page, to our page. It's going to our YouTube channel. And if you go back on her page, there's a whole bunch of good videos, and she actually has a video where she's showing the machine that she's talking about and how it can kind of populate all the information. And I'm going to be a live cadaver for you probably sometime next week, and
Please come. Yeah.
we'll put my innards on. But if we do that virtually, they'll see how it works virtually too. So that's what I was thinking. Like if we're doing that, or it doesn't matter, we can.
Your life will be exposed, Hank. You will no longer be a secret.
No, it's all right. Oh, we have one, maybe a final question. What is the deal with this Q starting medicine that is found in tonic water? Do you think there's any validity to it? I'm not familiar with that myself.
She's, Jessica, probably referring to, are you referring to the quinine? I'm assuming that's what she's referring to.
We'll see. Well, it might take her a minute to comment back.
Yeah, there is validity to it. I've heard it from multiple sources. You can drink quinine water, or wherever you, if you have a difficult time finding quinine, Schweppes has just, general quinine water. So what quinine does is it helps the zinc get into the cell, and the zinc has been shown now over and over to be really effective, as well as IV vitamin C, but they're really having a lot of success with the zinc. I've heard this from my colleagues, my integrative physicians, friends that are doing work in Florida, from my biofeedback folks. So yes, it is validated. Drinking a glass of quinine water and taking the zinc at 50 to 100 milligrams daily, and get a liquid zinc citrate if you can. Liquids always have a faster, higher surface area than a pill.
Okay, great. And out of curiosity, I know we have the whole stay-at-home order thing. Do you have any actual events coming up that you'd like to tell people about before we call it a day for this segment?
I don't have any events because
No
we're all
events?
stuck we're just doing virtual things. I just do a lot on Facebook right now to post, tips as we all sit at home, things that you can do, and, just eating better. Yeah, so that's, and I can do the virtual sessions. We can talk on the phone if somebody needs more support, but events are a little tough right now, but maybe we can schedule something via Zoom.
Yeah. And I put her website up in the upper left there. I'll also put in comments if you want to go over to her website. There's a lot of good resources and information. Go to her Facebook page. You were just recently on, was it News Channel 5? I remember seeing there was actually a news story that you were on TV. That was
had a quick
cool.
2 minutes to cover a very big topic.
I know it's fun being on. I've been on New Day Cleveland a couple times, and it's like you blink and it's over. It's like
it
so
is.
fast.
It was fast. I was like, oh, this is so little time to cover something. Somebody has so many questions, and a thing on elderberry. I know there's talk about that and how it's good, it's bad. It is. It produces a cytokine storm, so you want your cytokines to. So elderberry is great in general if you're healthy, but if you're somebody that's in the hospital or you're at home and severely ill with this, for you, elderberry might not be the right thing. But there's no statistical evidence that it's going to, kill you or not be good for you. If you're healthy, take the elderberry. I encourage it.
Great. Well, everyone, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And we will we'll talk in a moment. We'll see when we're going to do this again, when my innards will be broadcast out for everybody to see how painless it is to get healthy.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.